All right. All right, everyone. Okay. What's up, guys? Where is the... Boom. Boom, boom, boom. What's up, Dust Smack? How's it going? Okay. All right. All right. I don't think so. I hope not. What? What is going on? Hey, Afon. Not much. We are. I'm gonna go through and we're going down memory row. Gonna be reacting to the Jim Bob debate, talking about that while we are doing this. Seeing all the multi-stream stuff going on. Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you for coming here. Appreciate you being here. We are live on YouTube and everywhere. Just want to encourage everyone. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you, F1. Oh, Tess, thank you. Thank you for the rose, F1. Tess of the Irish, thank you for the cap. Just want to encourage everyone. Head on over to YouTube. We got monetized over there. So all the gifts, the super stuff. I actually have this set up. The dashboard should be actually showing super chats, and cool stuff should happen on a gift or a super chat. We haven't done it yet on stream, but hopefully it works. as with everything, hopefully it works. So we'll have to see, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to try it, okay? Yeah, we got. Hey, what's up, Randall? How's it going? Yeah. So, but yeah, I appreciate you. However, what you want to watch is awesome. I appreciate you watching however you want. But just want to encourage everyone to watch on YouTube if you can. Keep a larger percentage of whatever you're trying to gift me on YouTube, and we're trying to grow that audience on YouTube. So thank you so much for being here wherever you are. I appreciate that there's so many different places that you can watch so many different streams, and but you're hanging out with us, so I appreciate you, and thanks for being here, genuinely. So I thought today it would be fun. We're kind of like going through reminiscing on the the previous debates. We did the Haas debate, the existence of DNA, and then I wanted to go over the evolution debate with Jim Bob. Oh, thank you, Afon. And so I wanted to go over that, see what's up. How's it going, Ruben? And yeah, I actually don't have this saved on my end. For whatever reason, I was really locked in. Something happened, and I couldn't actually get it done. Couldn't get it saved. So I wanted to go over the whole thing with you guys. This was like my first major debate on a major platform, and so I'm like in this moment I am pretty excited just to like be able to have this. I've never heard of Jim Bob before. I had but obviously I was debating on TikTok before this, and I've been working with evolution for so long that I'm kind of like, okay, I'm not trying to get in my head about it, kind of thing. So let's see how it goes. I'm excited to see how I did. It was seen okay. Hey everyone, thanks for hanging out and thanks for hanging out in YouTube chat, guys. Appreciate you. So I'm in the idea of like, let's just try to have a productive conversation. I had watched some of his debates before this, Jim Bob's debate before this, and like he seemed to be like interested in like mechanistic understandings of how evolution works. So I'm trying to, in this moment, kind of like bring in a thoughtful remark, a thoughtful idea on how evolution works, and we'll just go from there.
Statement. Thanks for being with us, Dr. Greg. The floor is all yours.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate you. Thank you, Jim Bob. So basically, let's say that we are flies right now. We are flies and our friends, and we just left our our home for some reason, and now we need to.
This is a mechanistic understanding of evolution that Jim Bob had asked for before. He had basically never seen in a previous debate. He had never heard anyone actually explain evolution from DNA to evolution. So this was a really thoughtful, I thought, explainer of evolution from the mechanisms side that was explained to me in my evolution class. So I have an undergrad education in evolution, and this was the explainer that the evolution class actually started with. So this was how I kind of like got introduced to evolution as kind of like a theory of application, and it just stuck with in my head for the longest time because it was I thought it was very quaint and concise. And I think the big problem that I have with a lot of people like that when they talk about evolution, they don't really discuss things. They don't go from the mechanisms because they don't really understand how things do happen from DNA to speciation. So I thought that's where I wanted to start with.
Hey, go somewhere new. As we come into this vast place, we see that there is a cactus. This cactus looks like a place that we can actually stay, so we start landing on it. As we land on there, unfortunately, some of us as flies are being taken out. Through the wonders of evolution, we can see that there's actually some molecules that are entering into our bodies and interrupting cellular processes like the replication of DNA or some type of fundamental process. And some of us are starting to die because of that. So because of genetic diversity and because some of us have different genomes, the A, C, T's, and G's within our genome are different. Some of us have proteins that change just a little bit, have a little bit different folding, have a little different action for their action sites, and they're actually able to bind and neutralize this new pesticide, which is interacting with our bodies and killing off our population. Now, what's going to happen is there's going to be some of us that live that have that mutations, that have those A, C, T's, and G's in the right spot that actually change that active site to change that protein action. And now they can actually interfere with that pesticide, and some of us live and some of us will die. So basically, this shows, and this, basically the ones that survive are going to have a higher fitness, and therefore those populations are going to change, right? The ones that die, the ones that live are going to have the A, C, T's, and G's in the right spot. So basically this shows in this example that this is why the changes inside of our genomes are very important for evolution, because it creates the dynamism that creates the ability for.
So I, so I just wanted to go over and highlight chat from modern day debates here. Already, dude, this dude on the right looks like a fake Santa. I can already tell Dr. Greg will not be sleeping well tonight. Like, what is this guy talking about? Jim Bob, I'm not listening. That is so true. That is a huge thing as I go on, and something that he hides. Okay, so Jim Bob he's looking at us, right? But he is muting his stream. All right, the stream cannot hear us, and he just plays clown music over anything that he basically doesn't understand. So it's a way for him in order to stop his people from basically understanding something that he doesn't understand, so that he doesn't have to explain it, and he just can stay willfully ignorant of anything that is too difficult or that challenges his worldview. So whether or not he's listening here, we have no idea, and there's a good chance that he's not. So between now and the end of the debate, we just have no idea whether or not he is actually engaged and whether or not he is paying attention at all. It's like one of the, and I will not be the nicest at times, but hey, you know what? You at least know where you stand with me, okay? I will say it to your face, but the idea that he is muting his stream and or playing clown music over my explainers while I am like at my best intentions, giving him my locked in and full attention. I'm not even streaming this. I am literally locked in 100% into this conversation, and he is not taking that seriously. Like, and I mean, it's just a respectful thing. It's just like, why ask questions if you're not going to listen to the answer? That's what's insane.
A population to actually withstand and go forward. And as that new population goes forward, the higher fitness, they're going to be.
I didn't have him on, Sydney. This is Modern Day Debates, so this is a 270,000 subscriber, YouTube channel that hosts debates, and they had us both on.
Breeding with one another, so therefore they're going to change over time. So yeah, basically, this is the definition of evolution: the change of allele frequency over time in a population. And evolution is something that we see and observe in nature, but it's also.
How does bleaching your hair affect your genes? Why do people think that I bleach my hair? I don't. It's so funny to me. It's so funny to me. Misrepresent evolution. No, this represents as evolution. He can't even understand basic biology, basic
just in the lab. So I'm a molecular biologist. I deal with DNA, RNA in the lab, and we can actually use evolution in order to figure out new things. So the field of synthetic biology is a study of how we can basically understand the world around us a little better, removing the biological black box. And one of those ways of doing that is using the vast ability for us to create these millions of different types of mutants inside of a library, and then we can screen this on which is the best mutation through a process called directed evolution. And we see that with Francis Arnold's work, who got the Nobel Prize for creating new types of bonds that have never been seen before in nature.
Ricky, he understands it. His religion forbids him from accepting it. Yeah, I can see that. He's willfully ignorant, I mean, it's just, yeah, that's exactly, and this comment is exactly right. Proper FPV in chat. Jim Bob is intentionally illiterate about evolution and will argue a straw man version of it. I mean, that's basically it, right?
Also see it in David R. Liu, who is just an absolute, one of my favorite scientists in the world. And he's creating new types of CRISPR, which creates new types of medicine. that is actually being, the mutations were actually induced by viruses within the breeding population. And
one of my kids came to the door. I was like, not now, not now, stop this.
And basically, David R. Liu had used evolution in order to create these new CRISPR.
Dude, look at all these, just always homophobia too. This guy looks like he bats for the other team. Like it's just, it's wild to me. Like just like how predictable these people are, man. It's just so, it's like, wow, you're homophobic. Wow, it's crazy, dude. A homophobic religious person. Wow. You're so unique.
That were more specific, less off-targeted, and actually change the function of CRISPR entirely through directed evolution. So, so that's how we can kind of like, we see it and use it in the lab. It's a tool in the lab that we can see, and then we also see it in nature. So evolution is something that we have seen over and over again as we look through nature. So, for example, you can gain a function like the ability to break down nylon, which is something that didn't exist until the 20th century. The evolution of nylonase, which is an enzyme for something that that was just created. And then also like the fitness advantage. It's important to realize that evolution isn't a stairwise process where humans are at the top.
What? Dr. Craig's family is obviously in the chat. What? What? People's chatters are in the like family or in the chat. Like, what is that? They have children. What's with all the debate hosts also being right-wing nut jobs? Well, Ricky, I mean, that's kind of the problem, is that if they're not right-wing themselves, they allow and make money off of platforming extremely dangerous ideas. And as you could see with the Kent Hovind debate, and what it is now, his name's this guy, James Kunz. He runs the channel, and he's taking in ad money from right-wing naturopath sources. So like, I mean, after the Kent Hovind debate, he's basically like frozen me out. I don't think that he'll ever like respond to my emails ever again. But he also is taking out ads and running ads on a Chiron for ivermectin boxes to this DebateCon 7 that they're hosting. DebateCon 8 happened, and guess what? Like he's selling naturopath ads on his space. So it's like I couldn't even be on there if I wanted to anymore. There's like a huge conflict of interest there. Obviously, I exist in order to take down these people that are lying, that are anti-science, that are pushing this nonsense. And the idea that I would be used as an advertising prop to, for these naturopath, homeopathy-based medicine companies. I just couldn't. I can't do that. Like I can't do that ethically. I can't do that morally. There's just a whole host of problems. So I would definitely not go on this platform again, just because that's dangerous. So not only is he platforming these people, but he's making money off of them. And making money off of platforming dangerous ideas, which is really, really bad.
It's a branching that happens, and you can actually lose features, and when they're not advantageous anymore. So it actually gives you a fitness advantage. Like, for example, if you're in a cave, you don't need to see anymore. So your eye genes accrue mutations because metabolically that causes.
Thoughts on running your own debate channel that's ethical? No, I mean, I don't have like my expertise and stuff. The point of this channel and me in social media right now is to take down these agents of disinformation that are creating this nonsense. That is what I want. That is what I have spent so much time thinking about, guys. So much time trying to think about trying to take these guys down. I want to, yes, I don't want to, I'm not interested in anything else. So for sure, I want to take them down. I don't want to host them for sure. But if anyone else wants to, then that's on them. But I don't even know if you could ethically. Again, it's like, is it really fair to be? Is it fair to be really making money off of people that are debating the existence of trans people or something like that? You know what I mean? I don't think so. I really don't. I think that's a huge moral problem with it that I have. So I would not be okay with that.
Energy, and basically these fish or lizards will actually lose their eyes entirely. Another example is actually within humans. So vitamin C has accrued mutations in our genome, so much so that we don't make our own vitamin C anymore as humans, although it is mandatory for our immune system to function. So like mammals can do this, but we cannot as humans, because we evolved while eating citrus. So we had so much external vitamin C.
What?
Internally, we didn't need to anymore. So we stopped that in order, because the metabolic money that's being spent in order to make proteins, wasn't needed to be spent anymore. We also see this in like long-term evolution experiments with like the long-term bacterial experiment that's going on for the last like 50 years. Basically, there's been new types of metabolism changes where it's actually been able to like break down citrate for the first time. The cells have gotten larger. And on top of that, it's actually, they've had mutations in their DNA repair machinery in order to accrue more mutations in order to evolve faster. So the question then is like, how do we observe this in nature? How do we actually measure evolution? So the real question, I mean, and the point since we've discovered DNA, that DNA exists, is basically molecular clocks. These are pieces of our DNA that are highly conserved that aren't going to be mutating constantly. So that means that a mutation in this spot is very definitive. So this is in microbes, this is the 16S ribosomal sequencing that we do, and in animals broadly and eukaryotes, it's the cytochrome C, which is
God, these people in chat, it's just insufferable, man. These people are, errors led to more errors. Who would have thunk? Like, it's not an error to be more fit. It's like you are being selected for in order to do that. It's just, it's so wild, these people in chat. That's adaptation, not evolution. Where has there been a change of kinds? I mean, you see it of like long-term all throughout the evolutionary history, Die Hard. Yeah, I mean, there is no such thing as a kind. What is a kind? That is a creationist term that doesn't exist in biology. So, that's just what it is.
In the mitochondria, and we basically like can measure that through sequencing, and we know like how distant things are, and we can start mapping out when these mutations actually happened, because we know that they're not going to have mutations accrued in them until like a DNA polymerase error, and we know the rate of DNA polymerase errors, so therefore we can back calculate. We can also see and construct these phylogenetic trees with endogenous retroviruses. And we also measure evolution kind of like with mating capability. So sometimes, if there's a genome duplication event, other organisms won't be able to mate with one another. So that's another one. And more classically, morphology is kind of like used. But morphology, it can be a tough one, because there's actually things called like cryptic species, where cryptic species look exactly identical with one another, but for whatever reason, two distinct populations have actually been created, and they'll actually have two distinct mating populations, and they'll want to look like one another for for whatever evolutionary advantage there is. But they'll actually be mating with only within that subgroup. So they'll look like we've had this problem, especially like in dragonflies. This is classically where we've seen it. Is like, well, we thought that there was only one species, and then through morphology, and then there's through sequencing, there's actually multiple. So yeah, that's why I think that evolution has been demonstrated. It's a tool that we use, and it's a thing that absolutely does happen.
Thank you very much for that opening statement. Before I shift us over to Jim Bob's opening statement as well, I want to let you know, folks, if you haven't heard, DebateCon 7 is in Houston, Texas. It's only 9 days away.
Okay. I mean, I thought, like, I went through what I thought were the best. I think that the problem with a lot of these debates is that they get into kind of these old ruts of like, you're supposed to say this and then you say this. So I really tried to use like my time in order to push and talk about how we actually use evolution in the lab, like how we are actually creating new tools and new strains and new ideas through evolution currently in the lab. And that's where my expertise is, that's where my experience is. And I think so much of this time, like we go back and forth with just the same nonsense. And I think that it's sad, So yeah, I want to in this moment kind of show that we know evolution so well that we can actually use it as a tool, and that's my goal here. And I think I did okay there, like talking about it. I thought the intro was good. People like reviewed this and said that it's not the standard evolution intro that everyone gives, and that was a bad thing. And I think on the opposite, actually. I think that it's a good example of like trying to have a new take on it, and just rehashing the same talking points isn't going to get you anywhere, Thanks, Randall.
You can use the promo code 20 from stream. You can see that at the bottom right of the screen for 20% off your tickets. Grab your tickets now, as that code is only good until Saturday at midnight. With that, we're going to kick it over to Jim Bob for his opening. Thanks for being with us as well. Jim Bob, the floor is all yours.
Okay, thank you. What is evolution? The process by which different kinds of living organisms are thought to have developed and diversified from early life forms during the history of the Earth. Evolution is...
Like what? Like even that sentence, like that is like the is such a straw man. Like he's creating this whole thing of the evolution happened a long time ago, and that's when it happened. And then now we're trying to kind of like a murder mystery go through and try to pick up the pieces to see what happened. And that's just not the case. That's just isn't the case. Like we see evolution happen constantly.
Also touted as the single most well-established scientific theories in human history. You would think that the most well-established scientific theory in human history would at minimum be able to make its way through the scientific method, the one we've learned in 7th grade. Evolution doesn't actually make its way through the scientific method.
Oh.
In fact, evolution doesn't even make it beyond the second step of the scientific method.
Nice. What's up, dude?
The second contention I have with evolution is that it appeals to things that don't objectively exist in nature. They say evolution includes speciation, the changes of species over time. But when you press them on this, it doesn't actually have an objective standard for what constitutes a species. They expand the category to clades, which they also have no objective standard for discerning. The evolution...
Yeah, again, it's just... These are like old 50-year-old talking points. Like we don't even talk about like stuff like in that context. I mean, through genetics and stuff, we're talking about 16S ribosomal DNA. That's what we're talking about. So the fact that he's not even bringing up DNA when we're talking about that, this is again like this is an old-timey, idea of what's happening, and he's trying to change the debate to be this old like morphological like, well, how are we gonna know by just like looking at bones? And it's just not true. It's just not true.
proponent cannot tell us where or when a clade begins or how they know. They claim that humans are in a clade, but if you ask them how they determine this, they don't know. They literally appeal to just definitions. They say we defined it that way. When you ask them whether or not the human category itself could be its own clade, they say, I guess, there's no pushback on the taxonomy of these things. It seems completely arbitrary. The methodology further for evolution uses arbitrary systems that are inconsistent. For
arbitrary is DNA arbitrary? Are mutations arbitrary? Like that's the whole point, and that's why we use things that like sequencing. It's because then they're not. They're just not.
For example, a lot of times they appeal to fossils. They look at a fossil a fossil is found to have similar anatomical characteristics as something older.
Again, it's so cute. This guy, he's just regurgitating the Kent Hovind's apologetics that Kent Hovind himself hasn't updated for 50 years. And he's like regurgitating. It's like a human centipede of knowledge here. And it's embarrassing. I would be so it's just the same Christian apologetic nonsense, man. Nothing. He's not saying anything new here.
And it also shares characteristics to something similar that is younger than it. And they claim to observe transition between the two. Now, my opponent didn't mention fossils or transitions. He's more myopic. He's more granular with
myopic. I'm more myopic. What the hell does that mean? How DNA, like changing specific pieces of DNA is myopic? What?
His view of evolution, but to defend evolution is to defend these things as well. So
he's rattled right now. He's completely rattled. He has no framing of anything that I'm talking about. So he's just bringing this whole thing back to what he knows, and he's like, no, talk about do we have every single fossil ever that's in existence? Though, can we really know?
The whole idea of picking up a fossil, seeing similarities, anatomical, phenotypical similarities, and drawing out this conclusion that you're witnessing a demonstration of transition. The problem is transition is an actual event that happens. That's an activity. Fossils are
No, it's not. Every fossil is a transitional species, basically. I mean, there are pivotal ones that are, in the middle of, the closest, most common ancestor between two species. So that becomes a pivotal transitional species, but everything is evolving in some idea. It's just a fundamental misunderstanding of what's actually happening.
Objects. Another problem with this, evolution inserts a story about the objects and declares that transition happens just because they could imagine it happening. On what basis could I not say that finding a fossil with any shared characteristics would be something demonstrable of transition? To a sloped nose, to a fingernail, to an elbow bone. It shares something, so how could you say in the grand scheme of things it's not also evidential to transitions? Well, like I said, transition is the thing in question. Do things transition at all? Now, everything my opponent listed...
Well, exactly. Yeah, Pi. Don't forget fossil records of extinct species also. So extinct evolutionary lines were also dead ends. So I asked him about this, and I talked about him. Basically, I said that 99.9% of any species that's ever lived has gone extinct, and he just denied it. He just doesn't think that all that stuff existed. And since they're extinct already, now he doesn't think that they ever existed. And he just thinks that we've found random bones, and he doesn't think that there were ever those species existing. Because if you think about it, in his mind, God created the world. God is perfect. So therefore, how could God have made all these extinct and species over time? They can't, right? So he has to therefore say that, well, they didn't ever existed. It's a lot. You have to say that 99% of God's creation has been extinct means that he is a failure of a creator, and that'll never work, you know. Hey guys, thank you guys so much for hanging out in TikTok chat. I appreciate you. We're trying and pushing and monetized on YouTube now, so I would really appreciate. It's a Dr. Greg show on YouTube. If we hung out there, and thank you for subscribing and any gifts or anything like that. If thank you for we're really trying to push the YouTube algorithm right now, so I would really appreciate you. So but I'll have you however I'll have you, you know what I mean? So I will however you want to hang out, you can hang out, but if you really wanted to support the channel, I would that's where I would really appreciate you. So thank you.
I appreciate he's looking at the granular level of organisms, singular, populations of flies, populations of bacteria, and he's looking at changes or adaptations that they're capable of. But the thing is, capability is the thing in question. Whether or not organisms at the population level or the individual level already have it embedded in them to react a certain way to stimuli is a question, or whether or not you could actually trace through and say, this was a random mutation that produced this. Perhaps my opponent is on the cutting edge of evolution, and soon they'll be saying that there's actually nothing random about mutations at all, that they have function altogether universally, every one of them. That could be the case. We just don't know. Not only does similarity in anatomy not confirm relatedness or common ancestry, but if evolution was true, it would need to be the case that entirely dissimilar animals would be related the further back you go. Determining common ancestry.
We are. And we know that through DNA. We do know. That's the whole idea of like we share 50% of our DNA with a banana. That's like they are. And the fundamental processes that bind them are things that evolved before those big events. So I mean we know this. It's willful ignorance.
By similarity loses its power because
yes, exactly, Divine. That's really well put. The good old no one cares about selection, so it's all complete random Jim Bob classic. Because Ghostbusters, thank you so much, man. Exactly, Divine. It's like a God creates the selection, so there is no natural selection in his mind because God created that selection event. Right, so therefore, ta-da! Like it's only the randomness, you know. So it's the same way in the fact that they deny the existence of viruses so that they can just focus on vaccine side effects, as if viruses don't cause disease. They just focus on the randomness of DNA polymerase errors because they can't deal with the fact that there is some selection outside of God.
Similarity is required the further back you go. So saying, look at this ape-like thing. That's our uncle. Back in the day, we come from this because look how similar. So they use similarity in that sense. They are similar. I could imagine, I could interpolate the animation in my head of one becoming the other. I can imagine it. The problem is the further you go back, the more dissimilar things are, but you still have to hold that it is, in fact, an ancestor, regardless of it being dissimilar. So evolution is always claimed to occur also at the through random mutation at the population level, right? That's how it's talked about. Notice how my opponent granted himself populations.
Oh my gosh.
The only way my opponent can...
I love that. Oh, thank you, Ghostbusters. Thank you for the drum hamster. Yeah, it's so funny, like... There's like the idea that there wouldn't be a second organism. That's what he's basically trying to say. Like, you're saying you're assuming there's a second organism out there. It's like, well, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Study what he studies is if he already has populations in front of him.
Hey, UFO.
But there's a problem with that. First of all, the fossil problem is when you find a fossil, you're not actually finding a population level of a fossil. So,
oh my gosh, literally, like that's you literally have entire, herds in like the La Brea tar pits, for example. You have like huge swaths of a certain type of animal being found together. I mean, give me a break, man. The idea that we don't find a second of these fossils, like it's like, give me a break, man.
So you could never tell if the said characteristic, whether it was similar or not, was present at the population level. It's just begging the question there. Speaking of populations, evolution looks at and tries to make sense of diversity.
And it's just, what really frustrates me is that like during this debate, it's like the prompt is evolution is on trial, and the absolute granularity and the way that like evolution has to get everything right. We have to have every transition for every single, every single replication event has to have a fossil tied to it, from RNA world to the first cells to, the creation of eukaryotic cells to, every single step of the way. We need fossilized evidence in every single generation to be found. But, oh, thank you, man. Oh, I guess we have that was the special event. Thank you for the super chat, man. Thank you. So of course, like, but what's so funny to me is that they are saying this at the same time he's assuming, he's giving himself like, I am assuming what populations, that's what he's saying that I'm guilty of. Bro is assuming that there's a god. Like, you know what I mean? Like the idea that I have to like prove that there was more than one at every single point, which okay, that's fair, but also the idea that the guy is a creationist and assuming that there is a god in order for there to be a creator. Oh, thank you, Michelle. Appreciate you. Hey, Alan. It's so laughable, man. It's just so laughable.
Diversity of life as we see it today. It claims that random mutation and natural selection is responsible for diversity we see today. The problem is populations.
And I just want to say how easy it is. I just want to say how easy it is for a religious person to just say and accept that evolution is true. Like that evolution could just be the work of their creator. And that is how it is done. Like, it's just, there's no reason to die on this hill. There really isn't. That's what's so wild to me. There's nothing to say that they're incompatible. I guess it gets into like randomness of the polymerase errors. Could there have been like any shepherded idea of what could yield from a population? Who knows, but an omnipotent, omnipresent creator, I can understand someone believing that there would be some shepherding to create man after, 3.8 billion years of evolution. Right. So, but yeah, it's wild.
Themselves are a featured example.
Mills away. Hey, I watched your debate with JF, and wow, his horrid history aside, his points were just silly. I know. I thought his whole idea, the whole premise of the idea that we shouldn't use medicine because medicine just makes it so that the weak basically are still around. Like, what? Like, how is that crazy? They need to make podcast equipment more expensive. Dr. Joe. I love that. Yeah, dude. Everyone has an opinion and a parasocial group these days, man. It's crazy.
of diversity. Therefore, evolution is responsible for producing populations. Now, my opponent is not studying at that grand level. He's studying at the microscopic level. He's really in it, high level magnification. But he still has to defend this if he's going to defend evolution.
See you, Rogue Turtle.
If populations are a product of evolution, he can't talk about evolution granting himself populations. He has to tell me how evolution, random mutation, and these mechanisms produced the diverse populations that he's actually studying. He can't just...
Yeah, I mean, it's very simple, guys. It's because multiple pieces of DNA can make the same codon, right? Multiple different variations of DNA can create the same amino acid. So like that's what it is. Like, and basically the proteins can misfold, they can change shape, and they can do a purpose that makes them fit for that time period. And that happens over millions of organisms, all in that population, all at once. So it's not like it's not a key, you know. It's more of like a hammer sometimes, a mallet sometimes, sometimes there is that key, but that it doesn't need to be the key. Sometimes you can break open the door, you know. There's a lot of different ways in order to solve, the problems, and you don't always have to have the key in order to get through the door, you know.
Say, give me some populations and I'll tell you how evolution works. I don't grant populations, and I don't need to. Why? Populations are a featured example.
Look at this comment. Evolution is a joke. They can't even explain how DNA was created. Half of them believe DNA was formed in a mud puddle. Just take like God and put it in here. God is a joke. They can't even explain how God was created. Half of them believe that God was created out of nothing. You know, I mean, like these arguments are so odd.
Diversity in nature. My opponent can't argue for evolution without first giving himself populations, but they need to be produced. This is a common ad hoc position the evolution proponent takes. They grant themselves these things, fully functional.
See you, Ghostbusters. Thank you so much.
Packed to the skin with hyper-specialized organs that work in unity with purpose and function, all of which we are also told are the product of random mutations. In other words, the liver, product of random mutation. The heart, product of random mutation. Your mind, your brain, same thing. Your elbows, everything about your body. If you go back in time, there was a time it didn't look like that. Maybe it didn't even exist. And the random mutation process actually somehow produced a cascade of engineering, actual engineering toward hyperspecific functions. So this is something that has to be explained under the evolutionary view. You can't just...
Wait, what? Doctor, you said we evolved from making our own vitamin C, so if there were starving populations in the world, we just barely kept them alive, they could evolve to survive with less, right? Sounds moral. What?
Study specific functions. Okay.
That's what this guy's saying. What?
Even exist, and the random mutation process actually somehow...
Right here. Why would we... Huh? They couldn't survive because they don't have vitamin C, and you don't survive on only vitamin C. What in the world?
Produced a cascade of engineering, actual engineering toward hyperspecific functions. So this is something that has to be explained under the evolutionary view. You can't just study it after you have all of that stuff. You have to tell us how exactly evolution produced these things. So how does an accidental process like random mutation produce a liver from a position of not having a liver? My opponent will probably say, well, grant me a proto-liver and I'll tell you a story. Is there any reason to believe that a series of mutations...
I knew he was gonna bring up penises, incomplete penises, and livers. that was like the thing that he constantly brought up in every single one of his debates, which is funny because like the liver is probably like the easiest conceptually, like one of the easiest organs to actually think of evolving. So it's funny that he is, of all the organs, he looks at that one. Hey Lauren, how's it going?
Mutations would result in a mechanism just coincidentally being awesome at filtering toxins among other
Like, yeah, it's really simple. You just have, like, imagine instead of like a huge, filter, you just have, proteins that bind to that toxin, and then cells that make that thing that you know what I mean? It's just there. It's so easy to. It's trivial. It's trivial.
tasks, then by chance maintaining the structure of that organ in conjunction with other hyper specialized organs that it works together with. It doesn't work in a vacuum. It works together with the other body parts, the other mechanisms in the body. Now, if something as specialized as a liver is a product of many generations of mutations within a population,
Good,
this
Lauren.
means that considerably more.
Good, Lauren. I just got monetized on YouTube, so I'm like pushing that hard, and we're up to 1,200 subscribers on YouTube now. So the algorithm's been really pushing my stuff hard. So people so I'm just recommending people go over there and gift and hang out and chat. It like really helps. Really helps.
Previous generations survived and reproduced just fine without a fully functioning liver. This brings up another issue. If it takes thousands or even millions of years to develop not just a metabolic system, but a defensive and offensive system with proper functions, then the organism must be capable of surviving and reproducing without those functions for many generations. So why would a population of organisms keep a non-functioning tool that's in the process of becoming an amazing tool, an amazing piece of engineering for millions of years down the line when it doesn't actually provide them anything?
It does.
This throws a bit of a wrench into the story of evolution, because if you say position A in time, this thing doesn't have these features, and in a million.
Yeah, Ricky, this is the problem. Jim Bob is such a bad faith with the population topic. If fossilized horse, trilobite, and dinosaurs didn't belong to a population, what alternative explanation is being proposed? And that's the problem with this debate, is that he doesn't have to propose anything. It's all me on the defense, kind of like coming up with these answers, and he himself doesn't actually have to propose anything else. So it's honestly like it's a weird lopsided debate on how this whole thing has been proposed to me.
Years after random mutation, it accidentally develops a really hyper specialized features. You have to argue that every step of the way, there was a justification for keeping the almost cooked, almost done oven, right? Pie in the oven. It's almost done. We're getting there. The heart's almost.
Guys, what is a broken oven? Let's think about that. What would a broken oven be? Oh, Helen, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's go. Thank you, Helen. Guys, what do you think? What do you guys think? What's a broken oven? How could we possibly think about that? Like a broken oven. What would be the use of a broken oven? You could use it as a cupboard. You could use it as storage. I have friends that do that. I had friends that we were in apartment living. We had I don't know. Put one in the chat if you guys store your biggest pots and pans in the oven because you don't have the cupboard space in order to actually put them in there. So you just keep them inside the oven until you use it. Yeah, it still has a use. Yeah, look at all these ones in the chats. Yeah, exactly. So the idea that you would never have an oven unless it's a perfectly 21st century with all the amenities and accoutrements that you can actually have. Even his own example doesn't make any sense.
Almost done. The liver's almost done. We're getting there. Just wait another couple.
Got my
of
cast
weeks,
iron
right?
in there. There you go.
In this case, it's millions of years. Now, to put it this way, there must be a beginning of a penis under the evolutionary.
Oh my God. Dude, this guy, every single debate, like I said, livers, and he talks about penises. He Like there is not like those. I don't know. The guy must think about this like phalluses every single, like it's truly astonishing how much this guy thinks about phalluses. And I'm looking, my face is like literally like I can't believe that he's bringing this up. I can't believe that he's bringing this up right now.
Why would an entire population of organisms keep 1/8 of a penis? For some of you, 1/3 for millions of years.
Because like there are lots of different types of sexual reproduction that is capable, and that's enough. Like groupers and stuff. Groupers don't even have any type of insertion during sexual reproduction. You know, like there's lots of different types of and reasons in order to have phalluses. So it's exhausting. Phallus derangement syndrome. Yeah. There you go, Dr. Joe. Yeah, it's a shame evolution didn't make confidence proportional to knowledge. Yes.
Years if it provides nothing. And in parallel,
how does it provide nothing? It doesn't.
A vagina, which develops independently of the penis, and yet its final form is entirely compatible and functional with this other thing.
Coevolution happens. It's like,
what is the function of a penis or a vagina before it's fully realized in its form and function? From the evolutionary view, you really have to hold in your head that these undeveloped things that don't actually work together yet are developing independent of each other, and then they reach a final crescendo where they finally work together. But it's accidental. It's totally accidental from their view because it's produced by something called random mutation. Random mutation sets off some cascade of a line of informed code. The informed code says, hey, build this, do that. But there's no intentionality. It doesn't say, let's build a penis, let's build a vagina. It just does it. And then natural selection goes, I don't know, what's this? Are you guys good at this or not? I'm going to kill you if you're not good at this. And it's accidentally good at this, right?
Yes, Ken,
the problem
exactly.
is, to even develop a penis and a vagina over time through the evolutionary view, you have to have something that provides you sexual reproduction to begin with. So if you started a penis at one level of the population and you were capable of reproducing without the penis, you're saying, the evolution proponent is saying that actually happens at the population level and everybody gets a nub for no reason, though. There's no reason for the nub, but everyone gets one, right? That's what you have to view. That's what you have to say under this evolutionary view. Evolution is conveyed to people at a very low resolution storyline. Now, I'll give my opponent credit. He did not give us this story at such a vague level. He's more like in it. He's more in the biology of it. But when you tell the story at a grand scale, imagine it's like a circle, right? I draw a circle with chalk on the chalkboard. When you stand 30 feet away from the circle, it looks like it's a complete circle, right? But as I get closer and I want to press evolution with some questions at the granular level, I walk closer to the chalkboard, and lo and behold, the circle is actually made of dashes and dots, and it's not actually connected the way I thought it was from far away. Now I examine it, I start asking some hard questions about this, and the only thing the evolution proponent usually says is, well, listen, can you guys move back 30 feet and then it'll make more sense? Can you just move back 30 feet and look at it from a broader lens? And then I don't have to talk about these granular explanations of how you get populations, how you get eyeballs, how you get livers, how you get hearts, how you get all these working parts from a process that you're claiming is random mutations. And you'll probably know more than me on this for sure, but out of the types of mutations, the ones that you're relying on to be beneficial are the least consistent in their occurrence. And the more consistent are ones that are deleterious and they don't do anything. And so it actually increases a problem mathematically for you. Now, based on his opener, I don't think Greg is used to daily defense of the grand scale narrative of evolution. He's used to defending, well,
exactly.
Let me look at
He's
this
mad.
biology. Let me look at this organism.
He's mad right now. He's like, he didn't say the things that I wanted him to say. He's so mad right now. He's like, he didn't talk about the stuff, that the keywords that I could like bring in, like, oh, he's so mad right now.
Let's look at the fly and what it does. Let's see if something changes with the fly and it's able to like respond to things. I grant all of that. That's the thing. But
seconds?
the thing is, things happening at a part in the body at the population level, within a population, within a species, within a clade, it doesn't justify the notion that if that happens, it follows that a fly eventually will break off and not be a fly anymore. Like, that's the part that is not sold to me, and that's the part I'm really interested in dissecting tonight.
You got it. With that, we're going to jump into the open dialogue. I had not mentioned, folks, if it's your first time here at Modern Day Debate, I'm your host, Dr. James Coons. We are a fully neutral platform hosting debates on science, religion, and politics. And as I mentioned, DebateCon 7, Modern Day Debate's official conference is happening in Houston, Texas.
I insist he calls you doctor. I mean, it's no. I mean, it is what it is. I think. I mean, I think it's a nicety. In a conversation and stuff, if we're just like casually in a conversation, I think that it's fine. Like I don't call my MD friends or my PhD friends like their titles, you know, when we're just chatting and stuff. So I think like shorthand is fine, but like a formal address, if I was going to introduce them or something, then I would. But you know, that I don't think that it's inherently disrespectful. But there are people that do prefer it, and once I know that they prefer it, then I do say, hey, thank you for this, thanks for subscribing.
January 31st. You don't want to miss it. Grab your tickets. If you are like James,
Yeah.
I'm in Australia, I
That's
can't
true,
make
Pi.
it, it's just too far. If you see the card at the bottom right of your screen right now, you can watch all of it live. It's a perk for our final word channel members here at Modern Day Debate. Check out those channel memberships right now so you can watch the entire conference live. With that, we're going to kick it over to open dialogue. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
There it
The
is.
floor is yours.
Oh God.
Yeah, I was taking notes, but I would rather go like point by point if you wouldn't mind. So I guess my question kind of with what you were just talking about. I mean, when do you know a transition has happened?
Well, that's what I'm questioning. If you say like, I take it you hold that there was a time when what we call humans today.
But like, he needs to say, like, when is in his mind, what would a transition be? But he can't even grant that. He can't even like engage with the idea of what would a transition be that he would recognize.
As a species, as a class, actually didn't exist, and there was a moment where it did exist.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like let's think about how would you measure that transition that's happening over time?
I wouldn't, because I wouldn't assume that it does. That's for you to defend. That's why.
Dude doesn't think that you could measure anything that's changing over time. He doesn't think that over time that nothing in the DNA is going to change. Like, really?
I'm asking, like, if you hold that there's such a thing as a clade, and that under the clade there's all these subsets of categories, including human, let's say. It's on the person making the affirmative that clades exist.
How's it going?
That to tell me when does a clade exist, and from what base does a clade exist. The same for a human. So if you believe that a human arose, they use all these like sort of.
The problem that I'm taking, like the problem that these are good questions, but the problem is that he's diatribing and he's not actually like engaging with them. So I think they're good questions. It's just the chat's roasting me, but who knows? But like, I feel like they're good questions. It's just that he doesn't engage with them and he's just monologuing.
Poetic words that I don't believe are strict biological terms. If you hold that a human being, the class of human beings, arose from something that wasn't a human being, then there has to be a defining standard for that. And actually, in my opening, I'm actually asking you the same question. How would you determine when and how, by what methodology would you say, here it is, this was the moment humans came on the scene? Like, what's the criterion? I've looked everywhere for the criterion. You know what I get, Greg? I get that it's just arbitrarily defined. They actually don't have a biological standard. They don't have a categorical standard. They don't have.
I mean, they do. It's like hominids and stuff. I've actually looked into this afterwards, but it's like, you know, the shape of our skulls, the shape. There's different parts of our body anatomically that differentiate us between other hominids. That's just, and it is true. But again, I would still go through 16S ribosomal sequencing. Hey, souls, you know, that is the way to actually do it.
Set of attributes, and they don't have a way of knowing at what point that happened, and yet they say how many thousands of
basically years. Like Homo sapiens have a flatter face than Denisovans or Neanderthal skulls. So basically just the shape of how flat our skull is versus that's just what distinguishes us as Homo sapiens. One of a couple different other things I forget, honestly. It's kind of like morphology kind of doesn't interest me that much.
Ago, this is when humans, quote, came on the scene. Well, if I'm interested in evolution, I want to know if it's true.
Like I'm asking a good question, but then he just talks consistently like for so long. You know, I need to like take the handle over, you know, of the conversation and really run with it as opposed to just sitting there.
Someone says that, the first thing I'm going to ask is very simple, like my own kid would ask. How do you know that? Like, what's the standard? Is that a fair question? What's the standard? What's the criteria for determining and the methodology for determining humans came on the scene?
Yeah, okay. I mean, that's taxonomy and phylogenetics, and that's like a whole field of science that people debate constantly, right? That is what the debate, they have entire conferences on, like, if something's a lizard mammal or mammal lizard, and they'll talk about this stuff, and, you know, that's kind of like the debate. But like, let's just say that we went back in time to when like dinosaurs were extinct, went extinct 100 million years ago.
I wouldn't grant that either. I would ask the same question.
It's like, and he's interrupting me. Like, this is so frustrating, especially now knowing that especially knowing now with how aggressive James moderated me versus Kent Hovind. Like, the fact that he's just interrupting me and I'm not, like, I'm timidly just sitting there and accepting it, like, really frustrates me. Yeah, exactly. He's gish galloping for sure. Exactly. And I'm just frustrating. Yeah. Look at this. Did Greg just concede? This guy keeps saying this, like that I'm rage quitting and I haven't actually get it.
How would you determine that there was a universal class called dinosaurs that you're granting yourself? Obviously.
That's right. I forgot he doesn't believe in dinosaurs, guys. Doesn't believe in dinosaurs. Doesn't believe in dinosaurs.
When you say the term dinosaurs went extinct, even if I granted you the timeline, when you say that, aren't you saying there's an objective thing categorically called dinosaurs?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, under the evolutionary view, isn't it true that there's no such thing actually?
So I think, but this is, I do think in these moments though, like just biting the bullet and saying yes, like when he's like having this gotcha, you know, that he's this huge point. I do feel like that is like a strong thing. Like, I'm not afraid of having like, and I'm not afraid of like sitting with your bullet, you know, I'm not afraid of biting it. I think that is good, but it is it. Oh, thank you, Alan.
As an objective species thing called a dinosaur, that's arbitrary.
I mean, it is arbitrary in the fact that it's like dozens of, you know, a dozen and a mile are kind of like an arbitrary distinction. But walking a dozen feet and walking a mile is kind of the same mechanism, and that's what it is. So we kind of like post hoc go back and say, oh, there's actually like a species here. Yeah.
I would say post hoc isn't really science. First of all, that's another.
Oh, Michelle, your super chat just came through for the light. Thank you so much.
post hoc rationalization is actually fallacious thinking, and so that's why I
No,
asked.
it's not. No, it's not. Like literally, like
If you say
what a murder mystery, like figuring out like there's evidence there that you can discern and you can create and you can understand the world. That's not fallacious.
About the past, and you use categories for the sake of workability to tell the story, that doesn't tell me that the categories have any realness to them. And so that's why I argue.
Look at these people. LOL, Greg is conceding. What in the world? Like, what are these chatters, man?
Evolution ultimately reduces to.
I know, Pi. I know. It's this is the problem, is that I'm trying to answer his questions, and he is trying to take the reins and just run with them. And James is not moderating for my side. Like that's the problem is honestly with James and the moderation here. It's not me. Like the idea that he is just interrupting me and just gish galloping, it's insane. Like it, especially now considering my Kent Hovind debate where I did the exact same thing that Jim Bob's doing, and freaking James mutes my mic like every 30 seconds. So
in philosophy, what's called nominalism, which is like all you really have are independent units called creatures, and your taxonomy is actually not grounded in anything objective.
Look at this chatter. Let's imagine that a long time has passed. Like he doesn't even they're seriously not even saying, well, I mean, their minds, it's only been 6,000 years, right? So they're literally saying, like, I don't grant you that anything is the time is longer than 6,000 years. Like, what?
And yet I'm supposed to believe in this ever-changing flux fluid gradient of all animals, where it's one thing, a nature, the nature of humanity, the nature of a cow. This is a classification, but also it changes. Okay, when does the
dude? James is in chatting with people. Look at this. What is he responding to? Harry? What is he's like doing emails? Harry, can you turn off midstream advertisements? YouTube pushes us on us hard. Let me see. So he's doing like admin stuff. He's doing emails and admin stuff right now.
Nature of something change into something else entirely? At what point? And that's a fair question, because if the biological claim is this is an animal, this is a group of animals, be more specific maybe than dinosaurs, like something very specific, let's say a Pakicetus. I'm sure you're aware of that. Pakicetus, wolf-like. Sure. It's a wolf-like creature, right?
Okay.
The whale, in 15 million years, we're told that random mutation that's happening in the Pakicetus land wolf-like animal.
I know, exactly. It's just wild, man. He is not. It's so frustrating to me. James is just like literally like he's not on screen right now, but he's just staring off, like doing emails and admin stuff, while Jim Bob just. I think we've chatted for. Man, when did it start? When did open dialogue start? Does it say here? No, it doesn't. Man, it has to be like 10 minutes, and I've said maybe 2 sentences.
The succession of random mutation and generational succession eventually produces in 15 million years the whale. And I asked someone I previously debated, Greg, I said, is the whale a Pakicetus? Is the whale the category of the Pakicetus, the wolf?
That's not.
Well, but the thing is, where do you draw the line and say, no, it actually comes the ancestor?
I mean, like, okay. We are eukaryotic organisms evolved 700 million years ago. Are we yeast? Or, you know what I mean? That eukaryotic organism that first evolved there. Are we the same there? No, in the fact that we are Homo sapiens, right? But we are still eukaryotic organisms, the same as them. So it's like he's drawing. It's this weird kinds argument that exists only in Christian apologetics. Doesn't exist in biology, but they've created this their own kind of like story and their mythology, and that's what he's it's a straw man argument.
Of the whale is the wolf, this wolf-like thing, not the wolf, I'm saying, but they say it's a wolf-like creature, but it's in the same category as that wolf-like creature. And so this is the problem. You start with a universal thing called a wolf-like creature on land. You end in 15 million years with a whale.
Oh, there we go.
And in between,
there we go. Greg needs to talk more. Yeah, I mean, it's so funny to me, dude. Like it's seriously been.
You try
thank
to
you, 5 minutes for
find
the
confirming
roses.
fossils that sort of interpolate the animation between this thing and this thing. Now, I don't.
Oh, this is a really good point. And Angel, Dr. Greg did the very thing Jim said he wouldn't allow. Step back 100 million years ago. How is he assuming that these things even exist? Like, why does he believe that they existed? Why does he believe these transitionary things even existed? Do you know what I mean? Even in his own argument, why is he allowing for these things to have existed? Do you know what I mean? He's trying to make this argument, but prove to me that either of these existed. So he's saying he agrees, at least in theory, in this hypothesis that he's postulating, that there is enough evidence for these things to have existed. Do you know what I mean? Very odd. Will you debate again? And if you will, be a lot more. Oh, Ricky, you should watch my. You should check out my Kent Hovind debate. Check out my Kent Hovind debate, Ricky. Yes, for sure, my friend. Yes, yeah. Check. It's a good one. It's a good one. I definitely don't. I don't take the same approach.
To that the fossils actually demonstrate change, because change is an event and fossils are static. But the question is, how many different species, and how do you determine this change from the Pakicetus to the whale? How many different species are you talking about if you admit that the whale is not the Pakicetus?
I mean, 99.9% of all species that have ever existed have gone extinct.
Okay, so this is I've talked for 2 seconds here. So he's gone on for about 10 minutes, like genuinely. So let's see. I started at 33:35.
So, I mean, would you that's kind of like the problem, is that all of those branches of, and we could theoretically line up all of those species, one after another, and it would be a smooth transition, and you'd see that, but all of those have gone extinct, and that's why we say everything that's alive today is as evolved as everything else. So, I mean, would you agree that like the majority of organisms that have ever existed are extinct?
So I talked for 30 seconds. I'm trying to like have a dialogue with him. I'm trying to like give him something that then he responds to, and then we have like a talk, and not him dialoguing for freaking 10 minutes and then me coming in with something. You know what I mean? Oh, did someone say call me a soy boy atheist? I mean, probably, yeah. Oh my gosh. So let's just see. 3407. I talked for precisely 30 seconds. Let's see how long he rambles here.
I wouldn't know if that's the case. How would you know that's the case?
Well, we can tell. We can tell because
How can you know that the majority of things that have ever?
I mean, this is it. I mean, this is the biggest debate. The fact that he doesn't accept that there were 99% of everything that's ever existed has gone extinct. Like the fact that he doesn't accept that there have been animals that went extinct. Like that is wild, guys. I mean, just think about that. Like he doesn't believe, he thinks that the world was created as it is today by God instantly, and there's nothing that came from it. So it's like so he doesn't think that things have gone extinct. Like, I mean, the question really is like, do you believe the dodo bird went extinct? You know what I mean? Like, are the only things that he accept that went extinct are like passenger pigeon, dodo bird. You know what I mean? I can't. I've never like even in Noah's Ark creationists, Bear, they even say that dinosaurs had to be on the ark. Stellar sea cow. Yeah, there's another one. I mean, the idea that like there wasn't even dinosaurs or there wasn't anything that's just wild to me. I mean, that is wild. He is related to the dodo.
Existed when extinct, as opposed to, from your evolutionary view, changed form.
Because we can look through fossil evidence that they exist, and we can see that like they're not here anymore.
Wait a second. Fossils, by the way, fossils are very rare as they are, right?
Like North American lions, the giant ground sloth, all that kind of stuff. I mean,
your point.
He's interrupting me. He's interrupting me. I'm trying to like talk here, and I can't even like list out like things that existed in the world. He's interrupting me still. This is crazy.
No, hold on. You're pointing to.
Hold on. He says, hold on. What? Are you serious? He says, hold on.
Things, fossils, but fossils themselves are snapshots of animals, and the assumption is that there's a huge population of those animals, right? Okay. First of all, that alone hasn't been established. But second of all, even if I granted there's a population of the animals.
Yeah, Ricky, he is extremely bad faith. And yeah, exactly. I that is wild to me that he's just like interrupting me and doing this stuff.
You found that you're doing.
Bear, I'm like really trying to engage with him and trying to answer his questions because I watched the debate that he had before this, and he was really interested in the mechanisms of evolution, and I'm really like just tied in here. I'm not thinking about optics here. I'm really just listening to his questions and trying to answer them. Hey, Bill. And he is in bad faith, basically, and pushing this from the I'm gonna Philbro you, and no, I'm an atheist. So it is very sad, very sad. It's just it's frustrating to me looking back at this because it's like I don't think that Jim Bob is a disinformation creator. He is an apologist that is being exploited by I don't know. I mean, he's a grifter. I found out later after this that basically, like, Jim Bob just became a Christian like 2 years ago because of a girl. Like he just like made this conversion to like this Christian apologetics dude, and it was like because she demanded that he was a Christian. There was a clip that was played for it, and maybe it was like a 3-year-old clip that was, and he was talking about like I just became a Christian like 2 years ago or something like that. Like I've been a Christian longer than he has. So like he is brand new Christian, and probably like I don't know if is he grifting for the girl, for money. I have no idea. He's converted for the chick. Yeah, exactly. So, yes. So it's pretty embarrassing, bro, for him.
Declaring it is extinct. I'm not sure how you come to the knowledge that every animal that ever existed, most of them are extinct.
And then on top of that, when I do start to actually give like actual answers here, I will actually start to like give longer-winded explanations. He mutes me on his own chat plays circus music over my answers is so that his audience can't hear my answer. Like, he is by far like just a bad human being. And then on top of that, like, I'm trying to give like my best answers here, not knowing that he's doing that to his own stream. It's wild, dude. It is wild. I wouldn't have known that. Yeah, Tamara, if I had known that he was doing that, like, it would be a completely different conversation. And that's what like my frustration is. Hey Jennifer, like, that's my frustration afterwards. As soon as I had heard that, like, basically I went to like a debate review, someone was like talking about it, and then they showed his stream. They were watching it from his stream, and it's completely different. Yeah, it's a complete echo chamber. Exactly, Pi. Yeah, he's not engaging with my ideas at all, and he is actively discouraging any of my good ideas from getting to his people.
How did you come to, like, I'm asking for the methodology specifically, how you know that?
This is so wild. Like, how do you know that things went extinct and why because they're not here anymore? Like what? Like, the idea that there aren't any extinct animals, guys. Think about that. How like prove to me that? I don't know. I don't get that. It's such a shocking claim. Like, I always thought that at least Christians could say that extinction events happened. It was just in God's plan, but he's just saying that no extinctions ever did happen. Coyotes and whales 160 million years ago, the Eutherian ancestral splits, the Cornorva to ancient canids and wolves to order Artiodactylia and Pakicetus. 50 million years to the modern whale. Gotcha. There's been a ton of mass extinction events, Pi. Yeah, there have been. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we know through like different types of the DNA evidence. I would say we'd have like the phylogenetic trees that are like that aren't like lining up, and we know that like through, again, fossils and that kind of thing. That there's just.
I mean, how the idea that there is no. It's just wild, guys. I mean, the idea that there are no extinction events that's ever happened. I don't get it. Noah's Ark is literally about choosing which species do not go extinct. Or okay, but no, there are even on. Oh, I got a live violation, of course. Yes, he is a flat earther, Aaron. Yeah, he does believe the Earth is flat. Yeah. I mean, Orlco, I've heard people say that the Noah's Ark has dinosaurs on it. So it's wild. I know, me too, Bear. Every day is an obituary waiting game. And every day I am disappointed.
We don't have all the species that have ever existed aren't here to make that case.
I know, but they're not here. You're inventing that they did exist. You have to you have to
crazy,
basically
guys.
invent a bunch of species that you actually.
That's wild to me. That is so wild to me. That he's just. I don't know. I still can't get over this. And this is literally the debate. I'm like, okay, so there really is no. This is the debate. Like, the fact that he doesn't believe that there are extinct animals. I don't know. In my brain, I am literally like, I don't know where to go forward here. I did not train for this. Like, I'm like, genuinely, I'm like, how could anyone believe that there are no extinct animals? Genuinely. How could anyone believe that there are no extinct animals that exist in the world? I truly can't believe it. And, are we sure he isn't trolling? No, Aaron, he is 100% locked in here. He definitely. That's my question, Pi. Does he at least believe that the dodo went extinct? I don't know. Yeah, 444 million years ago, global cooling decimated 85% of sea life. You know what's crazy, Efon? That I had actually heard that there was another extinction event um, for sharks that doesn't align with other extinction events, and they have no idea why. It's about like, I think I want to say it's like 85 to 90 million years ago, something like that. Efon, check it out. There was a science mag, there's a science mag huge paper on it, a really interesting research article talking about that. They analyzed shark fins directionality on their scales, and they found that it completely changed, so that they basically, and they have no idea why, like 90% of sharks like went extinct. They have no idea why. It's really interesting. Really interesting.
Have no evidence ever existed and say that they went extinct. How would you know if you're inventing a new species that went extinct or not?
I mean, we can tell lots of different ways. Like, so fossil evidence would be one, but then also genetics as well. I mean, you could tell and put those pieces together.
Well, I mean, what I'm saying, I want you to get the question here is like, if you found some things and you were like, this is probably a popular.
I'm genuinely trying to understand, like, because it's wild to me. I can't believe. I'm really dumbfounded in this moment. He really has stumped me. I'm like, wow, this guy just is that willfully ignorant that. Thank you, Bear. I don't know, Orelko. Yeah, it is wild.
And we don't see it today, so it's probably extinct, right? I grant that. Like, you find something, it looks like some other thing, and you don't see it around today. You know, there are some things that we even have footage.
I mean, yeah, dude. The comments are completely right. It's crazy to me that they actually think that this is a win for Jim Bob. Like, it blows my mind that he actually thinks that just denying every single animal that's ever existed, 99% of animals that have ever existed, that's somehow a win for him. Like, in what world is that a win for someone? It's unfathomable to me. Like, I really am. I'm trying to engage with him, really, and like not call him like names here. And I'm trying to engage with him, and like look at these Christian apologetics, man. They love it. It's wild.
Of from maybe within this century.
Yes, there he goes. Thank you, Efon. Yeah, 19 million years ago, global shark populations abruptly plummeted by more than 90%, and still a mystery. It was really interesting, Efon. I read a paper about this. I read the paper, and it was such a big thing that they went through the peer review process. One, it was a science mag paper, which is already going to be at least a year of peer review, you know, but like, such an extraordinary claim. They did not believe it. They did not believe it for a second. And it was like 3 years of rigorous peer review and rewrites and additional experiments in order to, because they were just like, we do not believe it. We do not agree that this is, that this makes any sense. I mean, and as you know, Efon, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and they did it, and it's an incredible paper. It's really, really, really interesting work.
That no longer exist, and we say that once existed, it doesn't exist. That's not what I'm asking. I'm not asking about the fossils you have access to. I'm saying that you're making.
We have DNA of things that of that time, like carbon dating. You know, it's there's so much evidence.
An assumption that there's a bunch of animals that you don't even know their names or what they look like, and you're just creating it in a narrative that they did exist and then they died. but I'm not sure you're not pointing to them. You only have access to what you've uncovered in the ground, right?
I would say the DNA is probably a stronger evidence than just what we found in the ground. I would argue that. I mean, because there's lots of, we share 50% of our DNA with the banana, for example. Like there's lots of different molecular processes that had to.
I'm really trying to actually engage with what he's saying here, and it's so frustrating to me because I'm not just trying to, give like some semantic win here. I'm really trying to explain to him, and it's so frustrating to me that, like, knowing that I'm giving my best faith answers here, and I don't know if this is when it starts, but it's going to start soon, where he just mutes me and plays music over my answers. It's just evolution blinders, like Kent's 30 years of debates that proof gets provided to him that disproves his theories, but his script never changes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's true.
Evolve, and there's lots of steps along there. I mean, the DNA, like, that we see changes over time. Like, would you agree with that? If we took like a population of bacteria or something, and we started doing our own evolution experiment to see if these things change, to see if we can create a new kind, like you were talking about, I mean, how would we monitor the bacteria to see if it's transitioning to a new kind, like you were saying?
Well, the thing is, I grant that something today, like dogs or bacteria, flies, mosquitoes, I'm granting you that it's an experiment to introduce something to an individual or a population.
Look at this. The banana father, because 50% DNA. They think I'm saying, Jesus. They think I'm saying that I think that we had like one of our fathers or mothers as a banana by saying that. Like that is that's the joke that he's saying. Hey, Robin. I apologize. Robin.
And see how it responds. And if it responds in a way where it no longer can reproduce with its previous kind, and you guys say, voila, we have a new species, like, colloquially, I could even grant that, but that's actually not what's in question, Greg. It's what's in question is the assumption of evolution isn't whether or not there are variations of a type of animal that you have a universal category.
So again, he's not even answering my question. He's not even like engaging with the idea, can DNA change over time? And you pretty much have to. Like, he pretty much has to say that, like, this is what they say with microevolution. This is what they say, microevolution exists, but not macroevolution. We dated with, interesting.
For instance, you agree a mosquito is not a cow, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So there are a bunch of things that you would...
Well, you agree a mosquito is not a cow. Like, are you serious? Are you serious, bro? Like, give me a break, man.
Say those aren't mosquitoes. If a mosquito is introduced to DDT or something else, and it produces some sort of mutation that's
exactly. Thank God we got that one right. Thank you. That was close.
A disadvantage or advantageous, it's not a mosquito anymore. You understand? So I grant that if that happens, you still call it a mosquito. What I'm pointing to is a much bigger thing that needs to be defended under evolution is that the assumption that you have to make is there was a time where an entire category of things no longer was that category anymore. Like, it just...
I love it. This is such an interesting... I love how the science nerds can't even follow the argument. Like, if this is happening multiple times through multiple people, is the problem me? What is the underlying thing that links them all together?
Branched off, and it's no longer that thing. But every example that you're pointing to for an experiment is an example of a bacteria being altered in such a way, and it's still a bacteria. A mosquito is altered in a certain way. It's still a mosquito.
How is it altered? How is it altered, though? Like, how are we altering it?
Well, if you...
I mean, this thing isn't wrong. The crazy thing is Greg is in the correct position, but he's not even trying to present arguments. Get a qualified biologist here. But the problem is like, he's not... I agree that I'm not being forceful in this conversation, but at the same time, like, Jim, I'm giving my best answers to Jim Bob's questions, but he isn't actually engaged with the argument. But I am.
You introduce something genetically and it creates some sort of a mutation. A lot of times in the experiments are causing some sort of harm to the animal, the population, or the individual.
No,
and you're testing to see whether or not it reacts to it and maybe builds a defense in reaction to the thing that you're introducing. So that's like adaptation. The question there is whether or not the animals, the organisms had the information built into their system to respond that way or not.
Yeah.
That's fascinating to me. However, that's not the question. The question is, the long view of evolution is that the thing itself, the category itself, produces an entirely new thing that's not that thing.
Exactly. That's my question, though. So if we're monitoring this bacteria, so it seems like we're in agreement that DNA exists. We agree that DNA can like accrue mutations over time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, there it is. That's evolution's. The debate's over. Like he just agreed that evolution exists. Like there is nothing more to say, you know. They want a quote unquote kind gives instant birth to another quote unquote kind, but their definition of a kind is a broad and changes from person to person. They want evolution that can't exactly. Yeah, the idea of a kind is a Christian apologetics term that doesn't exist in anything. So. Oh, interesting. Mosquitoes and cows' evolutionary ancestors are herbalitarian 600 million years ago. Ah, that's interesting.
Okay.
Inside a population, you're already given, but you
not necessarily. I mean, you could have a genetic bottleneck event that is just like one organism. Like
let me ask it this way. Let me ask it this way.
Like with the endosymbiotic event.
Why is he? Look at this. Look at this. So I guarantee you, right here. He mutes me. I guarantee you. Look at his face. Watch his face.
But you
not necessarily. I mean, you could have a genetic bottleneck event that is just like one organism. Like
let me ask it this way. Let me ask it this way.
Like with the endosymbiotic event
there it is.
That created the mitochondria organ.
Boom. He muted me and he's not listening. Look at him. Like I'm trying to explain this to him because he keeps interrupting me and I can't get like 2 sentences off. And watch him. He's just muted me and he's not listening.
You know, like we don't know any other time that's ever happened in nature. Not to say that it isn't, because 99.9% of microbiology hasn't been cultured or sequenced, and so we don't actually know. They could be out there, but from our understanding, that's what it is. So you're having an extreme bottleneck event, and you have to basically overcome that. But my point is like.
Look at his face. He's not listening, and he has freaking circus music playing right now. You can tell like by his face. Look at it. Watch his face.
So you're having an extreme bottleneck event, and you have to basically overcome that. But my point is like if we are monitoring this bacteria, we're doing an experiment right now, and we are monitoring this bacteria, and we are trying to find what you're talking about. We're trying to find when bacteria goes into this second transition.
Oh, wait. Hold on. Transition to some other form of a bacteria, right?
It's whatever you think a bacteria could transition to.
Well, no, because evolution says you actually have to claim this is at a.
He can't even in his own mind, like think about what a transition out of bacteria could be that he would recognize. Like he can't even do that.
This is a category difference. Like there's a category of kinds, like species, like dogs, right? You say, look, do you deny that like all of these dogs are derivative of this wolf-like thing? Look at all the different kinds of dogs we have. And I go, yeah, there's different kinds of dogs. And the only reason we can say there's different kinds of dogs is because we have a larger category called the canine category. The question I'm not asking you, Greg, I actually already concede and agree with you that once you have a category of things, you can have variation of that category of things. We call those species.
But like, what is the mechanism that is limiting one thing from going to the other? Like they want to see it happen. They want to see 50,000 years of evolution happen in 5 years. They're not going to be able to do it. But like, what is the mechanism that is limiting that from happening? That's the question.
I'm not talking about whether or not there's different species of animals inside a category. What's in question is the category. So let me ask it this way. When you do your microbiology work, right, and you see that there's these this phenomenon of change within a bacteria. Is that what you mostly study, like bacteria?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeast, algae.
Yeast.
Yeah.
Okay. When you look at yeast, would you agree that yeast and bacteria is a part of the whole of biology, a part of the whole of biology? Okay. And when you look at bacteria and study it and see its change, to you, it's reasonable to look at the part.
How did he end up with species to begin with? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. They have invaluable arguments. Yeah, he's in his mind, God did it. So that's what his whole thing. He would be like, well, I don't think that you figure out and wind up with species at all. There's no proof of it. I don't know what he would say to that.
Of the whole of biology, look at that part and say, these changes happen at this part level. It's reasonable to say that it happens at the whole level, right?
If you think that it happens at the part level, it's reasonable to happen at the whole level.
Yeah. Like, for instance, if you see changes in humans at the individual level, right? In an individual, for instance, let me be more clear. Like when a child is
I love the comments. They're so funny. Doc is lost. I studied evolution in undergrad. Like, I've read so many papers on it. Like, I've taken so many classes, but somehow I am the one that is lost in these guys. How is that possible? How is that? Or it could be that this guy has no idea what he's talking about, and he's just making things up, and I'm trying to actually I'm actually trying to follow what he's trying to say, and he's not making any sense.
Conceived, and the form of the fetus begins. You look at that, right? Let's imagine it's on the screen, and you see change in form from conception to birth, right? Almost micro shot of what you imagine evolution is, almost like this change.
Embryology.
Is it reasonable from your perspective to look at that process from conception to birth with a child, the morphology that happens in the 9 months? From your position, is it reasonable to look at that and say, well, that must happen to the universal category of the human?
It's so weird. It's so weird. Like, yes, like how embryology exists for everyone. I don't understand what he's trying to say. Like, really, it's so weird. Exactly, Pi. Like, it's so hard to track what he's trying to say. They're all calling me unfat. Like,
except for if there was like some type of mutation or something that would stop that process or something like that, and then those humans would be more fit for whatever reason or something like that. But I mean, again, those things can be selected for. So like
he's doing like a good job in constantly keeping me on my heels, and like I'm not like turning the table of the conversation and trying to like put it on him. But the problem is that like he's not making a positive claim for anything. So that's also that's why with my Kent Hovind debate, I wanted to make sure that he had a positive claim that he was trying to defend, because in the back of my mind, I'm like, this is so ridiculous that you're trying to have such a high bar of evidence for anything, and yet you're just gonna say God did it, LOL.
The events in like adapt.
He's look at that. Look at this. Look at his face. He's putting the music on again, and then he's just, this is it.
Things can be selected for. This. So like the events in like adaptability, just the ability to adapt and do
he has the music on. He's not paying attention at all.
A lot in insects, where we'll have like brother and sister flies or whatever, and one fly will have like 2 or 3 times the size of the genome than the other, and it's like, well, why is that happening? It's like,
I understand.
well, it's because the environment changes.
Look at it. He's trying to interrupt. I understand. I get it. Like this, it's so frustrating. Look at, and James is just freaking sitting here doing nothing. He's doing emails still. Like, look at him. He's just doing emails, like freaking just on his own, in his own world.
Changes so much that they need, it's called phenotypic elasticity. They need some way of like, creating some change.
I understand.
In order to
I understand.
do it.
No, you don't.
I understand that
You
question
don't understand
is
anything.
a matter of whether or not animals, organisms at that level
Stop saying
have
you
it
understand.
built into them to be reactive to the external world. That's interesting, but my question was more specific to when you look at the changes that you call evolution at the micro level. When you look at the changes, you call it evolution at the micro level in bacteria. Are you saying that it's reasonable to say what's true of the changes of the part called bacteria that I see? It's reasonable to say it's true of the wholeness of all biology.
Like mutations can happen at different rates for different times in different organisms. In DNA, like ACTs and Gs, like there are the changes that can happen, but like they're going to happen and accrue at different rates in the different organisms, like for different reasons. Like it's just nonsense.
Is that what you're saying?
Maybe that it's possible, but not that change wouldn't be true for all of them, right? It would be like
Not the same change. Not the same
Yeah.
change. Sorry. I want to be clearer here. I want you to be able to answer questions. I'm not being as clear as I can be.
I want you to be able to answer questions. Like, what is this, dude? Like, it's so wild. Natural selection is a powerful force for adaptation. It is not an all-powerful engineer. Exactly, Efon. Exactly.
You see any change inside the bacteria at the part level, right? Because you agreed bacteria, when you look at bacteria, you're looking at a part of the wholeness of biological world.
Sure.
The
You're
animal
looking
world.
at a strain. Yeah, you're
That's
looking
right.
at a strain of a.
Is it reasonable to say, because I see changes, these type of changes at the bacterial level, the part level, is it reasonable for you to assume this must necessarily changes, not this type of change, any changes must exist at the whole level?
Like, what changes exist? Like, what is he talking about? Like, what? We're not going to have kanamycin resistance like evolve in humans. We're not going to have methylene resistant humans. Like, you know what I mean? Like the different types of operating natural selection directions are going to be different. It's so weird. I still don't understand what he's asking.
I mean, bacteria is very hard because they can literally like take up environmental DNA.
I genuinely don't understand what he's talking about. Even still, I don't get it.
This is why we use molecular clocks in order to kind of like understand that these things happen. This is why we use 16S ribosomal sequencing to understand.
But he's trying. He's checked out again, guys. Look at him. Look at his face. He doesn't care. It doesn't make any sense, and he's trying to rehash these talking points, and I'm trying to answer them as to the best I can because it doesn't make any sense to me what he's saying, and to think that right now he just has me muted and just playing clown music instead of actually like engaging with what I'm trying to say. It's so wild.
Like this is like a big step, and not just
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand. I'm just trying to get your
doesn't understand.
reasoning. If you agree with the statement, what's true of the part is likely to be true of the whole. So what's true about
Not
changes
necessarily.
about the part of the small molecular level? Because people, I don't know if you make this argument, but people I debate with, they often say, look, Jim Bob, do you agree?
Look at he literally he has a script, guys. He's literally I'm not playing into the script, and he is like, I need you to say this thing so that I can make my next point. That's what's happening right now. He's going through a dialogue tree in his brain, and he has a script that he is reciting, and I'm not giving the answers that he needs. So therefore, he has to say, well, this is what people normally say in this position, by the way. you know,
Biology or microevolution happens, I get really rigorous. What do you mean by that? Tell me what's happening. Someone like you, Dr. Greg, could actually tell me what you mean by microevolution. It sounds like by your opener, what you mean by microevolution
there is no such thing.
You introduce things, you manipulate bacteria, yeast, and these things, and you watch to see how they adapt to certain situations, right? And they change in a sense that they're adaptable, but they don't change and become not bacteria, right? They just remain bacteria, but they get awesome at something, or they don't get awesome. A lot of times they die, right? A lot of these changes that they call evolutionary changes are actually kind of kill off the thing. But either way, in either direction, isn't that what you're calling microevolution?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. There's just evolution. I don't agree with like micro and macro evolution. Like, I don't think that exists. But but I mean, let's say that there was a change. Like, we were actually observing in that bacterial population, we were seeing that transition into not bacteria. I mean, your expected results.
Hold on.
Let's say that we were seeing it. What would you expect to see be the case?
This is good because this is
God. He's not engaged enough with the subject to say that, like, if that was to happen, what would be the thing that needed to change in order to have that thing happen? Do you know what I mean? Like, any type of argument, you would have to say, well, what would I need to see in order to change my mind? That's what I'm asking right now. It's a very simple question. And he can't engage with this. And it's the same question that I've had since, like, asking to monitor DNA over time and would it change? He can't actually engage with it and actually give me an answer to any of my questions.
This is a part of the problem with nominalism in evolution, which is this. You just said, if there was a
Okay, so he's just taking a dialogue tree, right? He's just taking a dialogue tree. He's not even engaged in this.
Bacteria, and we started manipulating it, and then we saw that it was becoming not bacteria. That's what's in question. How would you know that the manipulation of current bacteria was becoming not bacteria? How would you know
that was what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, if there was, microscopic animals have never been successfully evolved. Wheels as a biophysical paradox. A wheel must be physically detached in the body to spin freely. Yeah, I guess F on the flagellar motor is like kind of like the best rotor analog that's ever been there. I know exactly
DNA evidence.
What do you mean? How would you know from DNA that the generality, the universal called bacteria, that's a universal category, right? Bacteria is not anything that's not, right? There's a bunch of things you accept aren't bacteria, right?
Yeah, I mean, we see this, like, we see genetic evidence. So, like, the mitochondrial genome is completely different than the nuclear genome of a yeast, for example. And even in a plant, you actually have 3 different types of genomes. You have the chloroplast, you have the mitochondria, and the nuclear genome. And then we actually see, it's really interesting. Some plants actually don't have a endosymbiotic event with the cyanobacteria. They actually have an endosymbiotic event with another red algae. So it's completely different.
I'm trying to give, like, step by step. This is the taking up of a nucleus is going to be that big stepping stone event. The taking in of a cyanobacteria to become a chloroplast, that is going to be a huge speciation event. Like, and we see that those things happen, those organelles are in there, and therefore we know, like, that those are these huge, stepping stones. Oh, interesting, F1.
It's not like a stepwise, like, in order to get to a plant, you need to have these steps.
Okay.
It's just, it can be a lot of different ways.
Okay, I understand. So,
okay, guys, I think we're going to pause it here, but then we're going to do the rest of it tomorrow. I'm curious how this is going to happen for the rest of it. Yeah, we got a lot. We did not get through a lot of it. Maybe we don't get through the rest of it. I don't know. We'll have to go through it. Yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I think I'm gonna start try to stream during the middle of the day. Try to see how that works. Try to. I'm gonna try to see. Yeah, the middle of the day. Try to see if we can push it. Yeah, I honestly like. I feel like this debate, like it's just more of the same. Like he just doesn't actually engage at all with anything, and it's very frustrating. It's a very frustrating debate that we had. Thank you for all the gifters. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you. 5 Minute, Helen, Ghostbusters. Thank you so much to Michelle for the super chat. Thank you, Efon, to the super chat. Thank you. I don't know, Hazel. Yeah, well, I'll do probably in the morning. Maybe like 10 o'clock or something in the morning. So yeah, we'll have to see. All right. Well, appreciate you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Bye, everyone.